Good evening. You can't see anything. Let me turn the camera around. I'm on my way to the cabin because I just realized it is not booked. Guests just left and I have a session with clients, and it's always difficult. I'm doing these in the evening and it's always difficult to find a quiet spot in the house when everybody's home. I was so comfortable and cozy by the fire in our house that I really just didn't want to come here actually. And then I figured I can make a fire here and maybe get more comfortable. It is very comfortable in here though. The heating's on, it's really not cold. I just feel like things are better when you're by the fire. And I've got about 5 minutes till I have to start my call. With the lid on. Okay. So honestly, I'm just reading my recipe from a screen cap that I took in my YouTube video when I made this. I don't know when I made this, maybe a year ago or something. And I see I'm not following my own recipe. That's interesting. Really, most of these dishes I just make up on the fly. I see something in the store and I think, oh, that might be nice, and I throw a couple of things together. And that's how this came about. And I see I'm adding a splash of water and then cooking it with the lid on. You could also put it in the oven. That's what I do for the risotto that I make. That recipe is going to be in the book as well. And I cook the butternut squash in the oven, which brings really out the, it really brings out the taste of the butternut squash. But anyway, I've put the lid on. I'm following my own recipe. Olaf always laughs because I never ever follow a recipe. When I see a recipe online or in a cookbook, I'm known for, in this family, never following a recipe. I always add a thing or two or three or four, or leave things out, or change it over all, entirely. And anyway, I'm not even following my own recipe. But let's see, what's the next thing? Let's start getting the feta and the eggs ready. I just quickly wanted to confess to you and say that I am really neglecting the garden and all the work that needs to be done around the garden. I did buy this in, I don't know, in November or something, with the intention to plan all the garden work that needs to be done. So it has a month planner for each month. And I was just, this would help me, I thought, to figure out when I need to prune what, when do I need to plant things. But it's already January 29, I think, that I'm recording this, and I'm realizing that, a lot of the winter months have already passed. And I think I might have already needed to cut the vines and stuff. When we bought this house, the previous owners were gardeners, so they really came only in summer. They spent I think they came like in April, May, and they lived in the Netherlands. It was an older couple, and then they went back to the Netherlands for the winter. And so all they did was garden. So the garden looked wonderful, but we messed up the entire garden to install the new septic tank because we've been doing all these building work. So a lot of that has got lost or destroyed. And so we're still doing, and we did our best to restore things and build a new garden. And honestly, I think when I look back at the building works in the winter of 2020-21, and I see what the garden looked like back then, I was honestly worried. And then when I look at the footage, because that's the benefit of recording and documenting your life, and when I look back at the footage of the spring and summer of 2021, it actually looked wonderful. But then there's a couple of things like the flower beds. I asked a friend here in the village who does a lot of gardening, like, do you think I need to completely clear that little spot and put new seeds in? And then she said, well, maybe just have a look and see what comes back. And nothing really came back. So this year the flower bed wasn't really very nice. I was sitting with myself thinking, I need help. So I actually already posted on Instagram. I just need somebody that knows what they're doing to just come here for a few days. And we're offering them a room in the house with a private bathroom. 2 people reached out that I actually worked with. Either they were colleagues in my business or they were clients. So that's funny. 2 wonderful women that have experience as well. I did plant the bulbs that my mother-in-law gave to us while we were visiting them right before Christmas. It's actually too late to plant them, but I did still want to put them in. So I've done that. All in all, I have to be honest about the garden being pretty overwhelming. It's physical work that I enjoy doing. I just need to be very careful with my body because of that car accident I had years ago. So I am going to make a plan, putting it all in here, and then with the experience of the people that are coming in April, I hope that we can tackle this garden thing. Look, so here, for example, all this needs to be cut at some point. When we created this in the first year, that little small wall was really nice and gorgeous, and you could see it. And somehow poppies, is that the word or is that English? Anyway, they just planted themselves, because that they were like the seeds were left in the soil that we took, because all of this was just farmland. And then this all needs to be cleaned, and I just need like, I don't know how much new gravel on here, because there is a few hatches here. That's part of the septic tank system, see? So we need to make sure this is high enough, covered with gravel. And this used to be this low, so we are going to cut that back. We left it because Olaf was building the greenhouse last year, I think 2022. So he was, you know, this is south facing, so he needed that shade. Really, look at the incredible clouds. It's gorgeous. Like, I feel like I want to take a screenshot of this, print it, and hang it as art somewhere. And the moon, really tiny. Look, it's almost, this almost looks like it's the sea, like a shore. Doesn't it? And that's the sea, like the water. Wow. The number of times when I am just sitting somewhere or walking somewhere and trying to figure out things and worried or don't know what to do with designs or for kitchens or feeling overwhelmed with the garden work, I always tell myself, look up, Marloes, look up. Because then when you look up, you're reminded of the vastness of the real life, instead of like having this small little square millimeter that you think is your life, and that's throwing all kinds of troubles at you that you feel you need to solve, that feel very important, until you realize that you're actually part of something much bigger, and all your problems might actually not be that big, and you can just relax and breathe. Anyway, see, this is how focused I am. Let's get back to the garden. So, for example, I planted these 2 years ago. They were supposed to be 1 meter high. I don't know. This is just grass that, I don't know, wasn't cut properly. So it got all in between the lavender here that I did not prune and cut, which I should have. This was once a very beautiful line between the gravel and the grass, but then when the boys or Olaf cut the grass, they don't cut these edges because, I don't know, somebody probably always feels like they've done enough after just cutting the grass. So that turned into a strange kind of thing that needs to be cut back. I actually want to plant more lavender so that it just covers this entire section. This is a oak tree that, I don't know, was, you know, remember this was hedges between the farmland and our garden. So there's all kinds of stuff. This is a tree that we actually cut all the way down to there, because I don't know what was wrong with it, and it just grew back. As you can see, we actually quite like that. We just need to cut these lower branches with the thorny bits. So you can see, it won't focus because, yeah, they really hurt, but they give nice shade in the summer. So these are all the beds for the vegetable garden. This is the herbs, which obviously I haven't taken care of, as you can see from the rosemary. This is always a beautiful bed full of mint. There is chives there. Here's where we always have all our zucchinis or courgettes, depending on whether you're American or British English. This was the flower beds, because as you can see all these hatches here, this entire section, including that round thing, that's just there because that is all septic tank, and the pipes are all there, running there, everywhere. And then that entire terrace is septic tank. So that gives you an idea. Also, we can't really plant a lot here for that reason. These are all strawberries, and then there's a whole patch that we could still, you know, decide what to plant, and we could actually make more. So see, I put my oleanders in here, and they're all already dead. Because what happened is I covered them up and put them outside, and then I noticed they were getting extremely brown underneath. I had covered them exactly as YouTube told me to. So I opened them up and then left them because it was like plus 12 or 15 degrees Celsius. And then when it started freezing, I forgot to cover them back up. So I think they're not going to make it, but we've put them in the greenhouse, which I probably should have done in the first place. We need to prune these. We've never done that. These are lilacs. And also here, they tend to grow from the bottom. All of this needs to be cut and cleared. And you see why I need help. We need to start reading this again and then put the vinegar or salt on top. Maybe use some extra gravel. That thing right there, that terrace, needs to be completely redone. That is falling apart. So we wanted to just pour a concrete slab there, which is another project I think that we really might need some help with. So if there's anybody out there that would really be interested in spending a week or a few days helping out with that, I mean, it would be highly appreciated, because honestly, we can't even find the builders. Nobody's available. And then, yep, this part, I'll maybe not even mention that. This used to be so beautiful. This was just full of flowers, but this entire thing was open for us to install the septic tank. And yeah, I don't really know. I planted this, 3 of them, and you can't even tell where they are. So yes, I'm really happy that these 2 people that I know, these women, are coming, and they hopefully can help me sort this out. I know in summer this will be beautiful. I will be so enjoying this. We'll be sitting out here having our lunch, or out there having our dinners, or maybe out on the terrace back there when we've got lots of friends over. And we'll be cutting my herbs from the garden to cook for guests. I will have edible flowers again in this bed that I will use for when I make breakfast for guests. We'll have wonderful strawberries. We'll be making our jams again. I know it will all come back. It's the beauty of nature. It looks horrible and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is never going to be okay. And then, you know, nature just is so powerful and it will just come back. And this area I'm actually quite happy about. Those downpipes, by the way, that you see around the house are just temporary. We still need to fix that because we're planning on recuperating all the rainwater and use it for whatever. And Olaf has a whole system prepared for that, but that's just not, we're not doing that yet. But I planted these, I don't know how to pronounce it, hydrangeas, anyway. And they are really doing really great. So that is giving me the confidence. We made this entire flower bed. This was just all like grass that was in a very poor condition. And I said, I see a beautiful, like I just see this whole wall covered with them. And then I still have this wall that I want to plant things on. I'm going to close the vlog here. I know I'm finally making a plan. I know I've asked for and accepted help. I've got plenty of ideas. I've got Pinterest to help me explain to people that know what they're doing. And yeah, I'm just confident that step by step, slowly but surely, we're turning this house and the garden into our dream place a little more every day, every month, and every year. And you know, a project like this just takes time, and we're just trying to enjoy it while we're on the journey. Thank you so much again for watching. Please do share any ideas that you have that might be helpful. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.